What's going on, everybody? Tim from Tirfon Orbital. So in today's video, I would like to go over a complete rundown of a Tusken Slayer. This is from SP, Sabers, and Watto's Junkyard. It has been battle scarred and then some. So I would actually like to talk about the process, about what I went through to weather this guy. I also want to talk about the chassis a little bit because it is different than the chassis that I've put in previous Tusken. I've only done one previous, the only one that I've done. And in fact, the reason that I have this hilt is because of the traumatizing experience that I went through with the first one. So some of the chrome was damaged, and I'll probably post a picture right now of how much it was. It was a small section of chrome, but as soon as I saw this, my heart sank, broke out into a cold sweat. I mean, I was absolutely mortified.
Oh, I'm so fucked.
So yeah, if anyone's familiar, the first Tusken that I did an install on, there was an accident that happened. There was some damage done to the hilt. So I ended up getting to keep this one, which I'm not complaining about. But because there was some chrome damage to this one, I figured, well, why not make this an opportunity to do a weathered or a battle scarred Tusken. This is a chrome plated brass hilt. Weathering chrome is not always easy. With aluminum parts, we can weather with aluminum black really easily. With brass stuff, we can use brass black. But with chrome, it's a little bit of a different process to weather it. So I wanted this hilt to look like it had been thrown down a reactor shaft, or there are actual touches of like raised broken Graflex. So I did a bunch of different things to this hilt, and I would like to talk about it. There have been a lot of people asking what I did to the emitter and how I achieved this. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And of course, we'll talk about the chassis, and I'll do a demo, right? So it's been really cool getting this hilt. It's been a process, right? So I think I did that Tusken, it's like 6 months ago. And I've just been, slowly weathering this and thinking about what I'm going to do. And I haven't had the time to really design a new chassis or install it. And I had some time last week and I got it done, right? So great hilt. This was actually the first prequel hilt that I fell in love with. I say this, I've said this before. I've never been a huge fan of the prequel hilts, but the Tusken and Obi-Wan's are two of the prequel hilts that I have grown to love, right? So without further ado, let's talk about the chassis first, and then we'll do a demo, right? So we'll come into Fusion. Here is the chassis. It is the same chassis that I've done for the previous Tusken, but it is a little bit longer. This is a removable in that my emitter PCB is part of the chassis. With the previous install that I did, there was like a 6-rail PCB up top. That way I could animate the 2 LED lenses that were up near the emitter. On this hilt, I wanted to have some shine through on the hilt itself. So I needed a chassis that was long enough to put some NeoPixel strips in. So that's what we did. That's what this channel here is for. There's a 2020 NeoPixel strip in here. I printed a resin lens that goes over this. And that's it, right? I did change the speaker on this as well. This is a 22 millimeter Nano Elite speaker from Smugglers Outpost. Love these speakers. I think they're fantastic. Battery tray is here. Kill switch in the middle. Proffie board is here. And this Proffie does slide up underneath this lip. And it can come out when and if I needed to. PCb emitter up top. And that's it. Pretty simple. Let's talk about this hilt. So here we are. Let's come up top. So here it is. This thing's been battle scarred. It's been beaten to hell, honestly. So I'll talk about the midsection first. Okay. So what I did with both the control box area and around it, I took a Dremel with a very, very small carbide ball tip, and it just went in one by one and made these dents in the chrome. I needed to do this with a very steady hand because I didn't want the carbide tip to catch and dance across the chrome, because then I would have like scratches and mars all across the chrome. So I had to go very slowly. Actually, before I even did that, I got some stencils I think I got them from KR Sabers for the Ray Graflex, and I put them on here so I knew where to make make my gouges. And that ended up just being a very general guideline. I did take some liberty and start doing some different stuff. So, but that was all done with like a very small ball carbide bit and a Dremel. Okay, and then I also gouged a lot of this midsection out. I did do some battle scarring on the top of the control box. I took a burr grinder bit to the chrome here. You probably can't quite see it. The cool thing that happens with chrome that I've noticed, or chrome plated brass, it does get this really, really interesting copper hue along the edges when you're grinding stuff. So anyhow, I just did that just to make it look a little bit more weathered, a little bit more beat up. And the emitter, so let's talk about this emitter. The emitter obviously is also, the whole hilt is chrome plated brass. The emitter is brass as well, chrome plated brass. So what I did around the edge of the emitter was I grinded all of the chrome down. When I say grind, what I mean is I use these, they're almost like Scotch-Brite buff pads that you can put in a Dremel. They come in different grit or different hardness sizes. So that's what I did to take off all of the chrome around the edge of the emitter. And that's also what I did to mar that chrome here. Pretty useful stuff, these guys. So anyhow, took all of the chrome down to the brass along the emitter here. I went down about a 1/4 inch all the way around. Then I took this emitter off and heat stained the top of it. So the other cool thing about chrome is you can heat stain chrome. You've got to do it really carefully. And it also depends on the quality of the chrome. The chrome on the emitter on this guy was really, really nice. So I was able to heat stain the top of that just to make it look more weathered, make it look like it's been, it's been used. So yeah, and the steel bar here, this has been heat stained. All of the hardware has been heat stained. So that's the way I achieved that look, right? But I'm pretty happy with the result. I mean, again, I already had some damage on this hilt. There was some chrome in this area that was damaged. So I took that opportunity to gouge a hole in this channel. So I essentially took a cutoff wheel in my Dremel and cut out a little window there, and that's where we get the shine through from the chassis. Between the chassis and the inside of this channel, I also put a mesh grill just to make it look a little bit more interesting, right? So let's talk about the chassis really quick. I don't think I mentioned I do have onboard LEDs on this chassis as well. So these are plunger switches. Okay, so here's the chassis. So you got two blinking LED. There's an orange one and a blue one. Onboard LEDs. Here are the two tactile switches. Batteries here, Proffie boards here. And there is that NeoPixel strip. Yeah? So obviously I've already got my battery in. So let's take this guy and put it. So the same principle applies with this particular install. I utilized the screw that's holding in the CoverTech wheel as my guide for the chassis. So there's a channel along the side of the chassis here, and that ensures that the chassis is in the right position when you slide it in, right? And that's it. So with the regular version of this hilt, there are plunger switches with magnets. I don't like that. I did put magnets on the onboard tactile switches. However, I printed off some regular ones without magnets that were long enough for me, for my chassis. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be swinging this around too much. They kind of just press fit in there. I'm okay with that. I just don't like putting magnets on switches. They're also really hard to get out of here for some reason, right? So, there is that shine through in that grill section. We've got a lit PCB emitter from Shadowfoil. Let's come down to the bottom. So this is one of the new Shadowfoil PCB emitters. Super bright, really, really great. And yeah, love that. Love the shine through. It's a great feeling hilt. Yeah, it was an opportunity for me to, you know, weather a Tusken. We don't often see them. There are a couple out there of the old, like, Watto. I've seen some of the older Watto, like Gen 1 Tuskens. I've seen some of those that have been weathered. But this one, yeah, I just wanted to do something different. And of course, obviously, you know, I took the opportunity to put that shine through on the hilt. This one was quite the project. I reached out to a bunch of my friends in the Lightsaber Discord asking, you know, what they thought would be a good idea to do to this hilt. I did reach out to Austin from Astoria Workshop, and he had a few tips for me as well. So yeah, I'm just happy with the result. I'm happy that I was able to take a damaged hilt and make it even more damaged. So yeah. So anyhow, that's all I got, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. If anyone has any questions about the process that I went through to weather this, please do not be a stranger. Feel free to reach out. And with that being said, may the Force be with you always. Thanks for watching, everybody.